Hey, this is Reverend Bill, and today is Saturday, 10:18, and we're coming up to just about 7 p.m. On Saturday night. So I got a lot to cover today. Just wanted to hit on a couple of things. I did not get a chance to watch Mamdani yet. A couple of reasons. Number one is, well, I don't actually live in New York, but I am kind of curious to see how the debate went. I did read about it. It was kind of what I expected, which is he has no answers to how he's going to do all the things he claims he's going to do. There was a lot of waffling, I guess, and backtracking. He didn't. He didn't actually stand by the fact that he said he was going to legalize prostitution. He kind of waffled on that a little bit. Um, I think he denied he ever said it, which of course he did say it. He also had no idea how he was going to pay for all the programs that he was proposing. No surprise there. He can't pay for them. Actually, had no idea about how he was going to run the government. The government run supermarkets that he was proposing, or any of the programs that he was proposing. And it's also his brain trust if people were too young and inexperienced, as he is, to really know how to run a government. But this all gets back to what I was saying, and that is, it doesn't matter. Um, it he's going to get in. He's probably going to sail in, and he's going to fail miserably. And he's just going to say what the liberals always say, and that is, it's not my policies. The problem is we need more of this. I'm not succeeding because we need more of my ridiculous, crazy ideas, not less of them. And then the Generation Z, or as I like to call them, Generation Zombies, are going to elect more of them. And it's going to get worse. And uh, hang tight, because this is the future. They are going to outnumber us. I think they probably already do. And it's going to get worse. It's going to get much worse, because we're going to get older. We, being the wise, experienced voices of reason, are going to get less, and the sheep are going to get more. And they're going to do whatever they're told, because that's how they have been brought up. They are brought up to listen to the establishment and obey them. And if they don't outnumber us now, they certainly will. And it's only a matter of time. I don't think we're in danger of AOC becoming president anytime soon. I'm hoping I won't see anything like that in my lifetime, but it's going to happen. Um, I'm hoping that it won't in the next 20 years. And then when I'm taking the eternal dirt nap, it probably will happen. I'm hoping that we can hold on to sanity through my expiration, but I don't know. It's going to be close. I think I think we'll get through. Hopefully we'll get at least a Republican in through after Trump. I think we get enough sanity that we'll probably get through another Republican term or two as president. But the clock's ticking, guys. It's against us. It's inevitable. We are going to lose. The question is, how long can we hang on to some semblance of sanity? But the writing's on the wall. We're going to be done, and by the Gen Zs, it's only a matter of time. The question is, how much time do we have left? That's you know, sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but that's how I see things, and I just don't see how we're going to be able to fend them off. And I think what's going on with Mamdani is a sign of things to come. And like I said, they got the youth, all the demographics, even the Jews in New York, the young children, the teenagers, and he hates Israel. And he said he was going to arrest the Prime Minister Netanyahu if he ever comes to New York. And he still has the Jewish young vote. So how does that make any sense? The last demographic that he was fighting to get were the blacks, and he finally got them to go over, and he's got their vote now. So all the youth he's got in New York, and he's anti-Indian, anti-Israel, he's anti-everything. He's full of hate, and yet they're still all jumped aboard. So yeah, I think it's inevitable. Anyway, enough of the bright sunshine that I bring to you every day, or if not every day, but a few times a week. But anyway, so let's get back to the cheat sheet for more fun and good times with Reverend Bill. Um, let's see what we got here. Ba-ba-ba-bum. Okay, so let's start off with something I've noticed um, recently. If you notice that people have stopped being more physical in movies, this is one of the things that absolutely drive me crazy, is that they stopped being physical in movies with kissing and intimacy, and I put this down to maybe I don't know, I guess it's with this sex fluidity or something, but they do not feel comfortable having a man and a woman. I guess kiss on TV or in movies anymore. They have this new thing. I first saw this, I think, with monkeys back when I was in high school or something. I noticed that monkeys touch foreheads, and somehow that seems to have caught on. I traced it as far back as Titanic, I think, is when I first noticed it in movies. And then I noticed a little bit with Matrix. But yeah, and I guess they really started to take off during the COVID time, I guess, with touching. But now they just don't let people kiss, especially with men and women. They like them to touch foreheads now. Um, don't know why. It looks strange to me. It reminds me of monkeys. But I guess when I was looking through what the reasoning I find is that they say it takes the physicality out of intimacy, and it shows people that can get emotionally tied without the baggage of being physically tied to a person as attraction. So I don't know. The deal is that two people can actually be connected emotionally, but not physically. I don't understand why the physical connection is such a bad thing nowadays. But it's no secret, and I've covered it. People don't really date anymore. People don't want to date anymore. Um, I was adamantly against this, but lately I'm beginning to understand it. And I've talked to my wife about it. It's flat out. I mean, if for some unforsaken, godforsaken reason, I decide, not to be married anymore, I could never see myself dating. It's to me, it's doesn't well, not only because of my age. I don't think it makes a heck of a whole lot of sense dating in my 60s anyway. Um, but it just to me it's a danger. when, when I was younger, it was a great idea to go to get if I could meet a woman and go to her house. It was an adventure. It was mysterious, it was romantic. You never knew what was going on. Now I see it as a tremendous risk. It's a risk financially. It would be a risk uh, socially. I don't know who it is. And let's be honest, if you're with a woman and she ends up being a bit of a psychological nightmare, and she says you did something that you didn't do, no one's going to give you the benefit of the doubt. And it's too much of a risk, especially if you're young. If you're a young person who just got a nice job and you're sitting secure, maybe you got a house, you got a nice career, you great education, you got a nice house, you're investing in the future. Why would you risk that for some woman who might have ulterior motives? You're risking your career. I think these are things you wouldn't have thought about in the 80s and 90s, but people aren't as stable as they used to be. I don't think so. We're kind of getting off things here, but I can see why people don't want to date anymore, and it's becoming a concern. Just recently, that whole thing on Matlock. Uh, that woman said that there was a sexual assault there. Well, if there's a sexual assault, call the police. But no, he just lost his job and probably his career, and I don't know why. But if there was a sexual assault, by all means, call the police, have him arrested. But no, it's all kept in house. His career is over. His reputation's gone, and no one knows why. Well, if it was a sexual assault, have him arrested. If it wasn't a sexual assault, let the guy have a job and a career. Let him feed his family. Um, that's not a small thing. Hurting someone's livelihood is a very major deal. And if you're going to ruin a guy's career, he should at least know why, or there should be um, some kind of a reckoning for it. But just to let him, and then everyone's hush hush about it, and he's no career left. His family's standing around going, "What? What happened?" And it's all hush hush. And she walks around like justice is served. Well, I don't know. Was justice served? The guy doesn't have a job. All right, moving along. I'm wasting time. Got a lot to cover today. Um, Minnesota, my favorite place in the world. How many wonderful things can I say about Minnesota? So we've covered already that it's the capital of witches, black magic. We've talked about how it's the trans capital of the world. We've talked about how, because of Obama, he opened it up for the Somalians to come in, and they did a recent survey of all the Somalians, and they found that close to 50% of all the households of the Somalian immigrants uh, had some kind of criminal violation of immigration, whether it be false birth certificate, false marriage, led, of course, by everyone's favorite Congresswoman, Ilhan Omar, who married her own brother in order to get him immigrated, and was not allowed to marry the father of her children legally, only a religious ceremony, which is exactly a religious ceremony only, because she was already married to her own brother. And if you question her, she'll be the first one to tell you to leave her alone, you're a bigot. And so there's that. And on top of that, oh yes, and lest we forget good old Governor Walz, who's a huge advocate for tampons for boys. And now they have decided that they haven't done enough insane criminal activities. They are now doing a step back into segregating public schools. They are now doing a classes for Black students only. I only did one class here for only open to Black male students, but there's also other ones. I found another one. I didn't bother pasting it, but it was for only Black females. Now, this is segregation going the other way. This is not against Black students. This is against white students, but segregation is segregation. And no matter what kind of segregation, let me be perfectly clear on this. It is completely unconstitutional. I actually even listed it here. It is a violation of the is a violation of a fundamental anti-segregation law. And let's see if I can bring this class up. And here it is. It's called Building Lives Acquiring Cultural Knowledge. It's open to only Black male students. This goes against the Supreme Court's landmark decision, 1954, Brown versus the Board of Education, which barred segregation in public schools. We don't really care about the Constitution if we're in Minnesota, though, do we? I mean, that whole Civil War thing, that really was just, who cares, right? I mean, it was only a war that the most Americans got killed in any other war. It wasn't really a thing, was it? But the Supreme Court did rule that separating children in public schools on the basis of race was unconstitutional. But certainly Governor Walz doesn't care about a small little thing like the Constitution or laws or anything, or the Supreme Court. That only goes for works for other states, right? This is just another reason to absolutely hate Minnesota. If you didn't hate it just alone for the weather. Anyway, so yeah. It's a state that keeps on giving, doesn't it? Unbelievable. And here's the logo of the South High School in Minneapolis. That just does what it wants to do because it's in Minnesota. God. Now here's the next one. This is pretty interesting. This is John Bolton, who was actually indicted, and I believe he turned himself in already. Um, that for he was working under the Trump administration, and he was indicted for sending classified information through AOL. Now, let me just do a quick rundown on this. There's a lot to cover here. I worked for a government agency, so I was actually in charge of protecting classified documents. So this is something I do know quite a bit about. And this is I'm very familiar, and I'm going to tie this into a little bit with Hillary Clinton too. We have the email at home. That there's no way that anyone that worked for the government does not know all about how to handle classified or top secret documents. Number one, anybody, and I mean anybody. I mean even the secretaries, the lowest secretaries that work for the government, they are trained repeatedly how to treat documents. They have tests quarterly and annually where they have to take classes on what to do with every kind of document. And after they have to pass the exam repeatedly, it's not a one time deal. They have reminders. And then when you have to pass them, and when you pass them, you have to sign that you acknowledge them. And then what that happens is after you do that, and like I said, it's repeatedly. And in between, they send out little tests. They'll set up emails, and they try to trick you. And if you click on something you're not supposed to click on, boom, you're caught. And then you have to, depending on your infraction, you have to get retrained or you get just slapped on the wrist. But they test you repeatedly to make sure you don't do anything stupid. And if you do something stupid, they say, hey, you did something stupid. And depending on how stupid it was, like I said, you get talked to your manager, you get punished, or you get retrained, or whatever. This is not a small thing. This is a major thing. Now, what Bolton did was that my understanding is, and we'll look at this together in a minute. I believe he used AOL to send confidential information to family members. I want to say it says his wife and his daughter or something. Now that right there says something weird to me because where I worked, I would block things like Yahoo or AOL. Now, I'm not saying that that was the case here or not. I would say for my network, how I would manage it is I wouldn't even give him access to AOL. Now, I don't know if he did or he didn't. I do not running his network. I'm just speaking from my experience, he wouldn't even have access to AOL. Now, maybe he didn't, or maybe he did, or maybe he didn't, and maybe he asked and got special permission for AOL. I don't know. I'm just saying that right there I would ask questions. How did he get to AOL? Was that allowed? Or did he get special permission? Sometimes, you would do that. You'd go to like me and say, hey, I need AOL for special permission. And if I got the write-off, I'd allow it to. I don't know. In this case, I'm not sure why he even had permission to AOL. But I'm not saying he did anything wrong to get it. I'm just saying that's the first question I asked is why did he have permission to AOL? Secondly, why was he sending confidential information to his family? Was it, and then that could be another thing too. Sometimes confidential information isn't confidential anymore. Because it happens all the time. It should have been declassified. Was this something that should have been declassified that was not declassified? In that case, why maybe the person did not declassify it. Maybe he thought it was declassified. I don't know. These are things that you'd ask if you were looking into it. A lot of times classified information should be declassified. I mean, if it was, something for World War II that was, a long time ago, and it should have been declassified in 1952. I mean, that's probably not a big deal. It was something that was an oversight. That would be another question. Now, Hillary Clinton getting a server and putting it in her basement and having that completely out of the security, that's a whole different ballgame. I'm not even going to discuss that. I mean, that's, and then destroying the email server after it was discovered, that's a whole different planet. I mean, when I heard that, my head almost exploded. This is something that I can sit down and I can discuss with you. Like, well, that depends on this, that depends on that. What Hillary Clinton did, that's on Mars. I mean, that is inexcusable by a long shot. I couldn't even begin to sit down and discuss that logically like I'm doing this. I mean, that's whew. Now, now what happened with him was he sent something to his wife and child, I think, and then that probably may not have been a big deal. I don't know. I would have to look at that. But what his big crime was that it got hacked by Iran. And having found out it got hacked by Iran, confidential information that he sent by AOL to his wife and his daughter, having got it hacked by Iran, he did not report that Iran had confidential information. And that's what he got bitten on, was that, no, number one, he shouldn't be sending confidential information to his wife and daughter in an AOL account. But having that happen, it got hacked by Iran. And he did not say, hey, Iran's got confidential information. Now, again, without knowing what that information was, I don't know how important that is. Without knowing what he actually sent, this might be a huge deal. Although I wouldn't think he would send his wife and daughter, missile locations. So I don't really know. But let's just take a quick look, just make sure that I got everything here correct, because classified national security document through AOL email account. Yeah. So that was knowingly sent secret materials. Again, I don't know. Were they secret materials? Were they secret materials at one time? Were they labeled secret materials, and were they not really? They could have been misclassified too. Don't get me wrong. I'm not making excuses for this guy. I'm saying there might be excuses for him. I don't know until I know more. Like I said with Hillary, I don't even want to discuss. That's just crazy. What she was doing was just out there. I couldn't even sit. You could give me a year, and I couldn't sit back and come up with an excuse for Hillary. Okay, so he used various messaging apps to send documents which are classified as top secret. Does not sound good, but again, we have to find out what they were and were they correctly top secret. Were they mislabeled? Should they have been declassified? Let's see. The form has diary-like notes. He shared these with two relatives believed to be his wife and daughter. They did not have security clearance. Why would they? It exposed the AOL was hacked by operatives by the Iranian government, which was targeted. Okay. Yeah, I mean, he did not reveal that they were hacked. That's the issue here. Okay. So he could fight. Okay, so 10 years in prison. Okay, now this one's an interesting one too. This is a whole lot of nothing. It shouldn't be nothing. So this I okay, so really what happened here is there was a game between the Dodgers and the Brewers. And this woman, and I hate using the expression Karen, but I have to here. Because this woman was in the stands. I guess she was a Brewers fan, and they were playing the Dodgers. I think something probably happened ahead of this. I didn't copy the clip because honestly, it was not worth the work. There was really not much going on here. I'm really surprised this thing had legs. I think everyone involved was surprised this had legs. Whoever been to a ball game and saw this would probably shrug like I did and said, wow, what is the deal here? So this woman who had an attitude, I don't know if she'd been drinking or not. She doesn't have anything in her hand. I'd like to say that I'd like to give her the benefit of the doubt and say she downed a few before this, because she definitely had an attitude. From what I understand in the little clip that I saw, my guess was that this guy was probably getting on her nerves, although I don't think he was doing anything really wrong. He was obviously Hispanic. He was a vet. He claimed that he did too towards the duty. Good for him. Thank you for your service. You're listening, which I'm sure you're not. But anyway, she was in the stands, and he was probably annoying her for whatever reason. And as far as the clip goes, I just heard him saying something like, why is everyone so quiet? Why is everyone so quiet? He said it a couple of times. She already was irritated by him. And then she leans over, and the first thing she says is, what is this stuff? She says, the first thing, real men drink beer pussy, is what she says to him. I don't know what he did to annoy her, but she says that to him. She leans over and just says, yeah, that. And he didn't seem to be bothered by it at all. And he just, again, he's looking around with his phone and questioning why no one's making any noise. And then she just taps the guy in front of her and says, call ICE. And then he says something like, go ahead and call ICE. I've done 2 tours of duty. And then I think he swears, but it wasn't really anything vicious. It wasn't angry. I think he called her the F word or something, but it wasn't really threatening. Um, Really, there was really nothing to it, in my opinion. I mean, and I've been to parks, and shockingly enough, I've had some angry altercations with people in the stands. Much worse than this, and nothing really was that bad. I mean, there was some shouting and maybe a little bit of shoving, and people fell down. Not me. But so I mean, I've been involved in things, and much, much, much worse than this. And no, they were no big deal in comparison. No big deal at all. No one ever got thrown out of the game or anything. It was, you know, bleacher creature stuff. And this to me was like out of 1 to 10. This was like a 1. But I guess she must have told somebody that he swore at her. But again, it wasn't even a violent swear. It was really he probably I didn't even notice it, by the way, and I watched it. I had to read that he used it, so it wasn't even an obvious swear. But anyway, she told an usher that he swore, and he got escorted out, which I thought was completely unnecessary. Now, I think that probably, and I won't know because unless I talk to her, I'm certainly not going to talk to her. But I would think that's probably what went wrong here. Is I think when they escorted him out, he probably figured, "Wow, that was over nothing," and that's when he posted the video. That's what I probably would guess was the issue. But I wonder if she didn't have him escorted out, whether he would have posted the video, because he didn't seem to think it was a big deal. I certainly don't think it was a big deal. But for whatever reason, he posted the video and she got fired. And I think the big reason she got fired is because she works as a headhunter recruiter. And the company probably saw that and said, well, wait a minute. She's got no credibility now because she comes across as being prejudiced by saying call ICE. How can we put a Hispanic person in front of her, having her come across as a bigot? Because now a Hispanic person is going to say, wait a minute, I mean, this woman's a bigot. How can I possibly expect her to get me a job? If I don't get a job now, it's because obviously she doesn't want me to get a job. She wants me to starve. So I think her credibility got lost. And that's why I think that she had to resign. But truth be told, it was a whole big bowl of nothing. And I think had she just not called the police, that this guy wouldn't have posted the video. But there was nothing vindictive in him. As a matter of fact, when he found out that she got fired, he felt badly and said, I didn't think it was anything horrible or something that she should get fired for. I feel badly. So his name was Fasado. Fasado, I don't know his first name. I'm not sure if it's there or not, but Ricardo Fasado. He felt badly. He's like, I don't want her to get fired. Um, this whole thing should never have happened. She was the aggressor, but I mean, she was a Cameron. I don't know why she had him thrown out. I didn't even hear him swear. I read that he swore, so it wasn't that bad. And he shouldn't have gotten tossed. And I'm wondering if he didn't get tossed, if he'd even bother posting it. But she never should have said anything, and she shouldn't have gotten fired, and he shouldn't have gotten thrown out. It was really not a big deal. And whatever, I guess I don't know. It was crazy. All right, moving along. Now, what I'm going to do is I mentioned this before in passing that I've known people that are Satanists and have sold their souls, and I mentioned in passing that people think that when Satan makes a deal with people, they have this imagination or this thought process that you end up being rich and successful, and you're living the life of a king. And I said the irony is that these people I know, friends and family, and they don't. I mean, I don't know if Jeffrey Epstein played. I would have to guess. If I had to guess, I would say more than likely, I would think that he probably had dealings with Satan. It looks to me like that would probably be involved. I mean, to me, it looks like the template of someone who actually plays around with Satan. If it's the mold, if it's a template, I don't know. I'm guessing. I have no idea what went on in his life. But if you asked me, I would look at Jeffrey Epstein and I would say that looks like a template of someone who I would think would be a Satanist, in the way that they had a burst of fame, and then they fell on hard times, and they ended up with nothing. Um, that's how I see a lot of people that get into it, and nothing ever good comes out of it. And anyway, what I did was I decided to throw together something to present to you guys, my observations, because I know so many people, and they shocked me, for anyone who's been following me, that the people that supposedly were my friends and family ended up surprising, um, that they were Satanists, and they tried to kill me and do other things and put spells on me, and it was hairy for a while. And of course, I found Jesus and the Holy Ghost, and got them out of my life. But a great deal of these people, I got to find, and I kind of traced their lives, and they all fit into a certain template. And I just thought I'd quickly go over what really happens when people mess with Satan. And it is pretty interesting. He actually just deceives you and gives you false promises. So I made a little cheat sheet here of what I've noticed. So the first thing is they're given an illusion of power over their circumstances, and that he gives you Satan's original temptation is that you will be like gods. He gives you a deception that doing this makes you strong. You can reject God's authority. You can actually be like a god. It's a promise that never really pays off. It just leads you down a bad road and it destroys you. But he starts off by giving you promises that you will never ever get. But it just sounds so good and it's tempting. It gives you the second step is it gives you a defiance of moral authority, especially Christianity. He convinces you that to be a Christian is restrictive, and that being a Satanist, that it's a way of saying no one tells me what to do. You're your own boss. Instead of freedom, though, you end up to be enslaved to sin, and you end up getting in despair. And what the liberation really is emotional captivity, and you end up really being a slave to it. You get a spiritual blindness in step 3. The scripture teaches that Satan blinds the minds of unbelievers. Um, when you get under that influence, you can't clearly see the consequences of what you're doing. It warps your mind. You get spiritual decay, um, as a result, and you get a counterfeit sense of meaning. It all gets distorted. There is no ultimate reward after it. There's only ruin, and you end up. Here's the thing: people think that at the end that Satan tortures, his followers. That doesn't happen. Actually, what happens is Satan gets cast into a lake of fire, and he is actually loyal to his agents. He does not turn on his agents. The agents get tossed into the fire with Satan, and you get tortured with him. Any worldly benefits that you might get are fleeting, and they're illusions. you end up just getting destroyed in this life, getting basically nothing in this life, and as an ultimate reward, you just get tossed into the lake of fire, and that's covered in Revelations 20:10. But you basically get tossed into a lake of fire with Satan. So there's no reward in this life, and certainly no reward in the next life. It's just ruin, is what it is. And here are the stages of the deception that he gives you. The first one is, and this I always kind of compare this kind of to a Ouija board. The way the full Ouija boards, it's a really easy way to fall into it. I played with a Ouija board as a teenager, and I got out of that pretty quickly. I was smart enough once I realized it was real. I realized it was lying, and I got out of that. Thank goodness. But anyway, it's the curiosity stage. You just play around at something, and you kind of it's just harmless. It's bored. You're bored. You get angry. Maybe some people get angry at the church, and they start fooling around with witchcraft, and they go, "Oh, it's innocent. It's innocent fun." Maybe they pick up a witchcraft book at the library. I know people that have done that, or they just want to rebel against their parents or the school or whatever. They're a rebel. Scripture warns us that rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft. That's Samuel 15:23. The devil's first victory is convincing someone that he doesn't exist or what they're doing is harmless. So that's a killer. The devil's first victory is convincing someone that he doesn't exist or what they're doing is harmless. Next stage is the pride stage. I'm in control. I can deal with this. At some time, people start believing they've gained insight or power, and they feel like, "Hey, I'm in control. I can do this." It's just like the lie that Satan told Eve: "You'll be like God." Pride convinces them that they are enlightened while other people are asleep. But the truth is, they are not in control. They are being controlled. And what Jesus said in John 8:44, Satan is a liar and the father of lies. Every illusion of power is actually a dependence on a deceiver, which would be Satan. Number 3 is a bondage stage. I can't get out. This is where people start to realize that they're getting pulled in, and they experience fear, oppression, nightmare, illness, and that can be quite a lot. Especially if you're getting very bad nightmares, you can't sleep at night. A lot of times those they enter into your dreams. That's a very easy way of having your life fall apart. Your finances, your relationships, your health, peace of mind, all that stuff starts suffering. That's when you mentally start to fall to pieces, and you start getting desperate, and you cling to the darkness, and you get worried in case you'll never get out of it, that God will never take you back, that you're all alone. But you're forgetting that God is still there, and you've got to submit yourself, resist the devil. If you resist the devil, he will flee. God always overrules Satan. And as I mentioned before, I was getting those vicious attacks. They were really, really hammering at me. They wouldn't let me sleep. And once I was praying, and when you keep at it, praying is not in and of itself enough. You got to actually connect with Jesus. And it was a while before I was able, and I'm not sure why you'd have to ask Jesus, I suppose, but I was praying and praying, but there was a moment where Jesus opened up to me. And once he opened up to me, and I connected, and he gave me the Holy Ghost. But once he opened up to me and came to me, and I'm not sure why that moment happened, but it didn't happen automatically right away. I had to pray, and then I don't know why, but once that moment hit and Jesus came to me, everything was just went away, and everything was fixed automatically. But I had to keep on praying. But like I said, it took a while, not a long time, but something happened. Maybe Jesus had to wait until my sincerity hit a certain level, or who knows. But once Jesus accepted me, he just came with the Holy Ghost and just wiped all that bad evil away, and my life has been wonderful ever since. And I've been talking to Jesus and serving him day and night ever since. My life's been wonderful since. So again, I don't know why it didn't happen right away, but obviously there was something I had to achieve in order for Jesus to take care of things. But he certainly did. He certainly did. And I thank him, and I'll never stop thanking him for giving my quality of life back. Anyway, moving along. Then next is the awakening stage. I need help. And this is when, you start the praying, and, you start opening your heart and asking and saying, Jesus, I need you. I love you, etc. And he will come. And then you hit the restoration stage, which is what I hit. That's when Jesus came to me and entered my heart. And that's when, if you were actually involved in witchcraft, that's when you go back and you destroy all your books, or you renounce Satan. And you see, the thing is, all the people that I knew, I could never envision them turning their backs on Satan. They were just too far gone. But I know that people have done this. John Ramirez is actually used to be on a Satanist, and he was actually a very strong Satanist, and he went through these steps. So I mean, you'd have to be a witch probably, or into black magic, to understand the steps of this. I don't know anything about witchcraft. Don't want to know anything about witchcraft. I certainly know how to fight witches, but yeah, I have known nothing about that, and I certainly wouldn't believe anything that the people in my family, my friends, or my ex-friends, that would tell me. I don't. One thing about witches I have learned is I do not believe anything that they would say to me at all. Evil lies, and they mix up truth and lies to confuse you. So I wouldn't even waste my time talking to them. I would not believe anything they said anyway. But anyway, I hope that was interesting. And the restoration, yeah, I belong to Christ now. But it is certainly interesting. But I guess my point is, if it wasn't clear, is you will never make out trusting Satan. It is destructive. And everybody that I know that has gone over to Satan, no one has made out. And the strange thing is, they've all ruined their lives, and they're all completely committed to him. And it's so strange, because none of them have had any benefit from him at all. And they're all going to have eternal suffering. And they're just fine with that. That's a scary thing. So I don't know what benefit they had from going through and doing what they've done, because there's no reward in this life for them, and there's no reward in the other life for them. And I don't think they wanted any other way, which is kind of weird. But anyway, that's all I got for you today. So I hope that was interesting, and hope you liked it. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. And if you didn't like it, then I hope you'll come back again and let me give it another shot. So this is Reverend Bill signing off, and hope you guys had a great weekend. Bye-bye now.